Part 2. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 11. Don't blame some fans for jumping the gun. Generally, any frame with Shang Zuoyan and Pei Jingshu in it must be related to tall and superior. But now, because of Gu Huiyan, this picture looks so down to earth and feels so inconsistent. I had tolerated eating melon seeds before, but now you can buy me a piece of ice cream and make me look so down to earth. Are you serious? Not just fans. Shang Zuoyan's eyes were also dull. Her delicate, doll-like face was filled with an expression called confused, and her pair of surprisingly large eyes stared at Gu Huiyan, as if she was looking at something strange. Her eyes seemed to say, "Brother, are you playing tricks on me? Are you playing hard to get with me? What the hell?" Shang Zuoyan was a little confused at this moment. She had never seen such an artist before. On the contrary, it was Sister Pei Jingshu. The cold fair-skinned beauty was leaning against the door with her slender arms in her arms. A pair of slender, long, and pretty legs were exposed in the air. She looked like a goddess. She just looked at Gu Huiyan with a smile. She did feel strange, but she didn't mean to ridicule him at all. She just thought he was very interesting. Are you saying that he is deliberately trying to create a show effect? But he looks so sincere. What he said was so coherent that it was impossible to refute. For a moment, Pei Jingshu was thinking, is he really an artist? What did Shang Zuoyan say before that he was, a rich second generation, a well-connected person? Sister Pei doesn't look like her now, okay. What are the connections and second generation of wealthy families like? For example, a rich second generation woman said on a program that she had a cinema at home. Others were shocked and asked her in surprise, "Do you have a cinema at home? Do you know how people react?" Not only did they nod in recognition, they also asked, "Don't you have one at home?" It was so natural, her expression at that time was as if everyone should have a movie theater at home. Why not eat minced meat? The guy was stunned and paralyzed just by asking. Oh yes, that guy is still a top-notch artist. Compared with that kind of rich second generation, Gu Huiyan really interprets the word contrast so vividly. If you say he is the big boy next door from the village next door, I believe you. If you say he is a rich second generation and well-connected person who has been pampered since childhood, I really don't believe it. Check out. Under Shang Zuoyan's messy eyes and Pei Jingshu's smiling eyes, Gu Huiyan took the 4.5 yuan ice cream to the cashier to pay. The shop assistants all looked at him with a smile, saying to themselves that this handsome guy was so handsome but he didn't expect to be so down to earth. Maybe because she was still in a mess, Shang Zuoyan didn't react for a while and didn't answer Gu Huiyan. Hey, don't go back on your word. You said you wanted to treat me. Gu Huiyan also waved his hand in front of Shang Zuoyan's pretty, doll-like face. Who said no more treats? After Shang Zuoyan came to her senses, she bit her porcelain teeth and stamped her feet angrily, saying, "Don't act like I can't afford to treat you to ice cream." She didn't look down on Gu Huiyan, but she felt a little embarrassed, feeling that her status as a star was actually linked to 10 yuan ice cream at this moment. And it is clear that these two things are not comparable at all. Then check out quickly. Gu Huiyan smiled at her, then took the scanned ice cream, tore open the wrapping paper, opened his mouth and took a big bite of the ice cream wrapped in chocolate and cream. Well, it does relieve the heat. He bared his teeth and smiled, a smile that was a bit harmless. It's just that the smile is a bit worthless. Shang Zuoyan. Shang Zuoyan, who had black lines all over her head, picked up her mobile phone and paid. At that time, she didn't even want to enter an extra decimal point in the payment amount on her mobile phone and directly input 5 yuan. Leave quickly, it's embarrassing. After paying the money, Shang Zuoyan ran away very fast, as if Gu Huiyan had embarrassed her a lot. Ha ha. It made many viewers laugh. Gu Huiyan, on the other hand, looked at Shang Zuoyan with a question mark on his face, as if he had done nothing. Let's go back to. Pei Jingshu took the initiative to come over and smiled at him, and the cold fair-skinned beauty walked slowly towards the crystal courtyard. Gu Huiyan didn't think much and followed him while eating ice cream. On the way back, Shang Zuoyan walked in front without even looking back at Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. It is worth mentioning that Shang Zuoyan is also a back killer. Walking behind her, Gu Huiyan can clearly see her slender waist and round butt. It's hard to imagine how she managed to get her flesh where it should be. Many girls lose weight, but it's easy to lose both their buttocks and buttocks at the same time, right? Is it tasty? Seeing Gu Huiyan staring at Shang Zuoyan's back, Pei Jingshu was inexplicably unhappy, so she started to talk to Gu Huiyan. On the way, Gu Huiyan took many bites of the chocolate ice cream in his hand. Pei Jingshu tried her best not to look at it, but her ears could always hear the sound of eating. Well, no, it's delicious. Gu Huiyan nodded, stretched out his tongue and licked the chocolate on his lips. Pei Jingshu smiled gently and politely and said no more. She glanced at Pei Jingshu, who was greedy but embarrassed to say, restraining herself, and then glanced at her manager who was following behind the camera teacher. Gu Huiyan found that Pei Jingshu's agent sister was holding her cell phone and talking to someone on the phone. She seemed to be communicating about work and had no time to pay attention here. An impolite thought appeared in Gu Huiyan's mind. Seeing that he was about to turn a corner ahead, Gu Huiyan looked back to make sure that Pei Jingshu's agent sister was talking on the phone and not looking here, and then he immediately leaned close to Pei Jingshu's ear. Whispered. Your agent seems to be busy. I'll let you take a bite when you turn the corner. You can hurry up later. Ah. Suddenly, the boy's breath and voice came to her ears, and Pei Jingshu felt a little shy subconsciously. But before she could feel so shy, she was stunned on the spot when she heard Gu Huiyan's words. A delicate face turned from tender to dull in an instant. She raised one side of her eyebrows, and for a moment she didn't know how to answer Gu Huiyan. The word messy couldn't be more appropriate to describe her mood at this time. She never expected that Gu Huiyan would make such a proposal. The barrage also went crazy at this moment. What are you talking about? You ate half of the ice cream and gave it to me, Sister Pei. Are you serious? How could I, Sister Pei, eat something that others have eaten? Are you kidding me? Is he going to lead my Sister Pei to do bad things? Ha ha ha, he is so funny. Pei Jingshu's manager's sister couldn't hear it, but they turned off the microphone and everything they said was heard clearly by the audience watching the show. Faced with Gu Huiyan who wanted to lead their Sister Pei into trouble, these fans were all in a panic. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 12. Pook. Seeing Gu Huiyan occasionally looking back at her agent sister like a thief, Pei Jingshu couldn't help laughing. She covered her red lips with her beautiful hands and couldn't help laughing. I just feel like this person is really interesting, informal, and caring about other people's feelings. He obviously suggested it to take care of himself because he wanted to eat but didn't dare to say so. It's quite detailed. He didn't think much about it, but Pei Jingshu couldn't help but think about it. Is it really appropriate to eat ice cream that someone else has eaten, especially if it's someone of the opposite sex? Also, is it really okay to eat secretly like this behind the manager's sister's back? Especially this is in front of the camera. She is a female star. Not only does she want to save face, but her personality does not allow her to do this. What's the point of eating a piece of ice cream with a male guest on the first day of Lianzhong? But looking at Gu Huiyan's innocent look, she couldn't bear to refuse, especially since she really wanted to take a bite of the ice cream. Pei Jingshu was a little hesitant and confused. At this moment, many of her fans are already cursing. Gu Huiyan, You little toad is going crazy because you want to eat swan meat. My sister Pei will not eat what others have eaten, especially what men have eaten. If you want to eat it, you can only eat it from me. Fart. You'll eat mine too. Mine. Eat me. What are you talking about? What to eat? Pht. This old car is so damn good to drive, you guys are so awesome. Probably in their minds, Pei Jingshu would definitely not eat ice cream that boys have eaten. Pei Jingshu thinks so herself, but who makes this boy take care of her feelings so much, and make her feel that he has no bad intentions at all? And she really wanted to take a bite of this ice cream. How to do it? To eat or not to eat? Pei Jingshu was very confused, but the reality did not give her time to think, because soon they came to the corner. Hurry up. As soon as he turned the corner, Gu Huiyan stretched out the ice cream and handed it to Pei Jingshu's mouth. Looking at the ice cream with some liquid on it, whether it was melted dew from the ice cream or Gu Huiyan's saliva, Pei Jingshu was a little confused for a moment. To be honest, she even felt a little disgusted. Hurry up, open your mouth, she will be here soon. Gu Huiyan looked in the direction behind him with a thief's expression. Pei Jingshu's manager's sister came over right away, and it only took a few seconds. Pei Jingshu, who had never refused, was a little confused by Gu Huiyan's urging. At that time, she didn't care about whether her image was suitable or not, and she only followed her own instincts. Ah! Just go up and take a big bite? At that time, this scene was broadcast by the camera, and the barrage exploded. Sister Pei, what are you doing? That's something that others have eaten, and it's something that a stinky man has eaten. The man is eating your food? Are you interested in punching me when you come up? Commanders, please keep your eyes peeled and stay away from women like this. What duck and steamed shrimp heads are you talking about? How can the food our little fairy boy eats be dirty? All boy saliva is delicious, okay. Good guy, who said there is no great emperor in the human race? If you are like me, then all I can say is this, Thai pants are hot. In the past, when a man and a woman drank from the same bottle of water, some people said it was indirect kissing. If you eat the same ice cream, your saliva will be much higher than that. Let's not talk about whether it is dirty or not, but it is something that the opposite sex has eaten. Sister Pei, did you really eat the ice cream he had? What the hell are you kidding? Many fans collapsed and claimed that their filter for Sister Pei was broken. But this matter? Pei Jingshu is also very innocent. Although she really wanted to eat ice cream, she didn't want to eat Gu Huiyan's ice cream at all, especially the ice cream he had eaten. But Gu Huiyan was so kind at the time, and it was hard for her to refuse. Moreover, the guy was pressing so hard that her brain couldn't react. Even afterward, Pei Jingshu never understood why she just went up and whined. But this ice cream is really delicious. Although it is not a very expensive or high-end ice cream, it is even a bit cheap, but for Sister Pei Jingshu Pei, who has never encountered this kind of food all year round, this is really delicious. Seeing as the ice cream was so delicious, she didn't care much when Gu Huiyan urged her to do it. When a pair of tender eyes looked at Gu Huiyan, they were even filled with gratitude. At the same time, she also gained a deeper understanding of this little fresh guy who was quite down to earth since meeting him. Feel. Others are pretty good. Facts have proved that Gu Huiyan was a thief. Those few seconds at that time were very fatal. Pei Jingshu's manager's sister found out a little later. Pei Jingshu, who had not been discovered, had the ice cream in her mouth and did not dare to look back at her agent sister for fear of being discovered. At the same time, there is a very exciting feeling in my heart. She never thought that Pei Jingshu would one day feel like a thief, secretly, but she found this feeling very exciting. Pei Jingshu usually looks like a good girl and a cool goddess when she is in front of the camera. She rarely does anything to break the filter, let alone contrast. At the time, Some opponents issued a press release criticizing her for using words like vase, saying that she just stood aside all day carrying her stinky goddess airs and didn't know who to show it to. Do you think she wants to carry the baggage of a goddess and an idol every day? If you don't want to, there is no other way. She is an artist, and this is what she eats. Once the filter is broken, she is no longer the domestic beauty sought after by thousands of people. A beauty like her is very popular. No matter how popular the funny girl is in recent years, she will never be able to compare with the beauty who kills friends in one picture. What's more, there is a sister who is a personal manager who constantly reminds her to carry her own goddess airs and idol baggage. Perhaps it is true that she has been a good girl in front of the camera too much. Pei Jingshu feels that she is constrained. Occasionally, someone reaches out to her and wants to lead her to do something that she has never done before or dared not do. She will feel very fresh, and then let the temptation amplify crazily. She doesn't agree, but she won't refuse at all, and will even choose to obey when Gu Huiyan takes the initiative to pull her to do bad things. This probably belongs to a kind of reverse psychology. The more you act like a good girl, the less you want me to do something, the more I want to give it a try. And once you taste the benefits of this kind of undiscovered edging, it's hard to quit. Shang Zuoyan walked quickly and went back one step ahead. As soon as they arrived at the entrance of the small courtyard, Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu heard some talking and laughing sounds coming from inside. Is anyone coming? Pei Jingshu glanced at Gu Huiyan, who nodded and said, maybe. They walked in together. As soon as they entered, they saw in the center of the small courtyard. In addition to the slim and beautiful girl Shang Zuoyan, there was also a man and a woman. The data is really miserable, there is nothing. Can someone give me some recommendation votes, monthly votes, or something? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 13. In the small courtyard, besides Shang Zuoyan, there was also a man and a woman. The man is handsome, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. His hair is combed back into a 3/4 length. He is wearing a striped shirt with a white t-shirt underneath, and a simple pair of slim-fitting trousers on the lower body. The overall outfit is more mature, business, and casual. It is worth mentioning that he has an elegant temperament about him, and when he smiles, he gives people a feeling of spring breeze. The woman next to him is also relatively mature. She wears a simple stepmother's skirt, which highlights her beautiful figure. She wears a brown coat with no complicated jewelry, only a simple necklace around her neck and earrings on her ears. The overall outfit is subtracted, but people can see her at a glance. What is very memorable is that her appearance is a bit exotic, like that of an ethnic minority. The bridge of her nose is very high, which completely heightens the three-dimensional sense of her facial features. These two are stars at first glance. Not only do they have outstanding looks, but their temperament is also very attractive. However, they don't seem to be artists of the younger generation. And when the camera shows these two, the barrage began again. I once thought that Shang Zuoyan and Pei Jingshu coming to this show was the biggest surprise, but I didn't expect that there would be such a surprise. Best actor Su Yuntang and our fairy sister Xylin. No. Are you two going to be in a love show? Are you kidding me? Compared to Shang Zuoyan and Pei Jingshu, the two people who came here may be about the same reputation, but in terms of popularity, they may be higher than the first two. Let's talk about the mature stepmother in skirt first, the well-known actress Xylin, from an ethnic minority. Her full name is Xylin Laili Nusriti. She is a well-known actress who debuted very early. Because of her very distinctive appearance, her first costume drama became a hit that year. It is worth mentioning that she was the second female lead in that drama, but she successfully defeated the lead female lead with her outstanding looks and excellent acting skills. After that, Xylin continued to prosper. Her first modern drama as a female protagonist was nominated for the Magnolia Award that year. She steadily outputs 2 to 3 dramas every year, and the quality of each one is online. This makes her career as well as her works. A rising tide lifts all boats. She won the Golden Eagle Award 3 times and finally won the Golden Eagle Goddess Award 5 years ago. In the past few years, she did less dramas and started to enter the film industry. With 3 films with a box office of over 100 million, she accumulated reputation and finally won the Golden Horse Award for her 4th film. Xylin, who concentrates on studying her works, rarely appears in variety shows, but she always maintains her popularity. This is inseparable from her every red carpet look. Xylin was nicknamed the Red Carpet Goddess, and fans said you can always trust Xylin on the red carpet. Every time when female celebrities are posing on the red carpet of various events, they are clearly less than 1.7 meters tall. However, Xylin, who is as tall as the sky, comes with an aura of 2.8 meters, crushing everyone. Field. When she walked on the red carpet, she was like a queen. She didn't have to do anything, she just showed up, and her every move eclipsed all the female stars present. It is worth mentioning that one time, Xylin was invited to attend the Cannes International Film Festival, and the red carpet style of the Chinese-style dress that day was the top trending search topic among foreign media. The key is that she almost never controls her figure. She eats and drinks when she should. She can often be seen sharing delicious food on social platforms. But even so, she still maintains a very good figure. Just 2 days ago when she attended the event, the almost perfect waist-to-hip ratio created by the combination of her water snake waist and peach buttocks was a hot topic. It seems that it is precisely because she does not control herself like other actresses that after she has grown a little older, Xylin's body is all natural beauty, and her face is full of collagen with no trace of technology at all. She looks very natural. People say that time never defeats a beauty. This sentence is so suitable for Xylin. When she was young, Xylin was nicknamed the fairy because of her smart looks in the drama. As she got older, she smelled more like a mature woman. It's getting more and more attractive. No wonder when Xylin appeared here, the netizens went crazy and posted barrages. It seems that in their eyes, although Shang Xuoyan and Pei Jingshu are very popular, they are still young and seem to be some distance away from Xylin, while Xylin is more like the kind of goddess who can be seen from a distance but not played with, and is aloof. How could they not be surprised when such a goddess appeared on a love show? After talking about Xylin, let's talk about the elegant man beside her. The man's name is Su Yuntang, known as the Walking Hormone. He is a double actor who has won 2 major awards, Golden Rooster and 100 Flowers. He has superb acting skills and has created many vivid characters for the audience on the screen. One of his plays the year before last was said to have been nominated for an Oscar. When Chinese people are nominated for Oscars, even if they put money in, they may not be able to get in. Movies with him in them generally have good reviews and box office. It is worth mentioning that he always has a particularly elegant temperament about him. When he wears a suit, the male hormones seem to be rushing towards his face through the screen. Hence the nickname Walking Hormone. It is said that he was ranked 3rd among the 100 most handsome faces in Asia Pacific in the past 2 years, and he was the least controversial one at that time. If there is, it is also controversial that the ranking is too low. Some people say that he should be ranked first. Best actor Su Yuntang rarely appears in variety shows, and he doesn't do much marketing. The only places where fans can see him are at movie roadshows or new movie press conferences. But every time he attends an event, the female fans present will shout in unison. People say that the older a man is, the more attractive he becomes. When he was young, Su Yuntang was a handsome man. As he got older, the smell of an uncle gradually emerged, which combined with his elegant temperament, made him very popular among female fans. Especially in the past 2 years, hasn't there been a trend called Uncle Circle? Su Yuntang is a top-notch uncle. Such a person who only exists in legends and can hardly be seen except at movie roadshows and new drama press conferences, actually appeared in such a romance show. It really surprised those fans. At this moment, it can almost be said that both male and female fans are extremely excited. Suddenly, two celebrities of the male and female levels appeared, which seemed to raise the level of the entire show. Zhang Dan, the program producer behind the scenes, grinned and thought, how about this guest? Isn't this guest important enough? As the godmother of talent shows, Zhang Dan always only strives to be strong and does not follow the crowd. If talent shows were a hot topic at that time, she was the first to do variety shows that selected amateurs. When others followed the trend in selecting amateurs, she started to do celebrity singing competitions. When others followed the trend in selecting celebrities, she was already doing male and female team auditions. Always be at the forefront of others, this is called dimension reduction attack. Now that the talent show has been massacred, she has found a new way to do a romance variety show, and she definitely can't do an amateur romance variety show like others. How pointless that is. If you do it big, if you play it, do it hard. She directly attracted these celebrities who others could not afford to hire even if they had money. Just their gathering together is enough to contribute a hit traffic to the show from the beginning to the end. Don't talk about making back the money on this show, it will be a hit. To be honest, if Gu Huiyan wasn't a pretty good young talent under the company she owns a share in, and when the show was first created, a certain idiot program planner told her that there was an amateur who might create a different spark, this kid would never have had the chance to be on the show. This show. Thinking about it now, Zhang Dan wanted to knock down that idiot planning Go Tou. If she had known that Gu Huiyan was so weird and down to earth, I would not have let Gu Huiyan come here if I killed her. But in fact, looking at it now, it seems that Gu Huiyan's down-to-earth spirit has become some highlights. This makes Zhang Dan a little surprised, and he is also looking forward to whether there will be any other surprises. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 14. Crystal Courtyard. Sister Xylin? Cousin Yun. Why are you here? Why didn't anyone tell me in advance? Shang Zuoyan, who had a face like a doll, chatted with them about something, seemingly complaining. Shang Zuoyan is a perfect social master, no one knows how deep her circle of friends, harem, is. It is said that there were once two top-notch men and women who did not know each other at first, so they wanted to get acquainted with each other before starting the film. It was her plan. Because of this, she can still talk to senior artists like Eleven Lin and Su Yuntang. Su Yuntang is elegant, Xylin is generous, and they don't feel annoyed when faced with the chattering Shang Zuoyan, but instead talk to her with a smile. Their voices are not loud, but their words are very clear and can be heard quite clearly. After all, they are both good actors. It is worth mentioning that many people in the barrage area said that the two of them match well and have a good sense of connection. Indeed, the two people, who are similar in age and have similar achievements, are very compatible in terms of appearance, temperament, etc. Su Yuntang also turned to look at Xylin from time to time, his eyes were quite soft, which attracted many CP fans to knock CP. When Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingsha came back, they seemed to have just finished saying hello. Sister Xylin, Cousin Yun. Pei Jingsha greeted politely. The fair-skinned beauty had a cold temperament. Even when greeting the two seniors, she just smiled. She was as cold as her skin. Gu Huiyan also came forward to say hello and give his name, but... Are you a guest too? The mature and elegant goddess Xylinde raised her eyebrows slightly and looked Gu Huiyan up and down with her big eyes. What's going on with these big pants and flip-flops? She didn't mean to disparage, but the clothes of her, Su Yuntang, Pei Jingshu, and Shang Zuoyan were all carefully designed by her own team of stylists. After all, it is almost normal for celebrities in front of the camera to be glamorous in order to appear on camera, especially Celine, who is a red carpet goddess. Her daily outfits are very tasteful. When she saw Gu Huiyan, she felt strange. None of the staff around her were dressed so casually. Yes. Gu Huiyan just nodded his head honestly. He seemed very natural. He had no intention of explaining or trying to establish relations with Xylin and Su Yuntang. Pook. On the contrary, Pei Jingshu, the cold fair-skinned beauty beside her, couldn't help but smile when she saw Xylin's reaction. It's true that everyone's first reaction when seeing Gu Huiyan is these big pants and flip-flops. But she smiled like this. Hey, Pei Jingshu. Shang Zuoyan suddenly widened her charming eyes and stared at Pei Jingshu's teeth in disbelief. But I saw that some of Sister Pei's originally white and flawless teeth were stained with chocolate. At that time, Shang Zuoyan was no longer calm. The corners of her pretty mouth twitched slightly and she asked Pei Jingshu. What's going on with your teeth? Did you secretly eat ice cream behind my back? Shang Zuoyan's glass heart was about to burst. She clearly remembered Pei Jingshu saying that she wouldn't eat ice cream. Just now, because she felt embarrassed, she walked very fast, leaving Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu behind, completely unaware of what was happening. At this moment, she saw that Pei Jingshu had chocolate on her teeth. Shang Zuoyan thought that Pei Jingshu must have eaten ice cream while she was away, that's for sure. That. At that time, Pei Jingshu's pretty face was full of panic, and she subconsciously stretched out her lilac tongue to lick the chocolate on her teeth. Although she did it very quickly, when she was done, she still found her agent sister staring at her suspiciously. No way, I didn't eat it. She waved her hands repeatedly, making an innocent expression. Look at how guilty you are, how dare you say you didn't eat? Shang Zuoyan was at a loss for words and was about to go find Pei Jingshu to argue. Cough. Gu Huiyan couldn't stand it anymore and ran to her and said in a voice that could only be heard by them. I gave her a small piece. Shang Zuoyan. At that time, Shang Zuoyan's face was filled with questions. Point. Divide the yarn. Why did you give Pei Jingshu half a piece of ice cream? Just a piece of ice cream, why would you two eat it separately? Besides, why did you give the ice cream to Pei Jingshu when I wasn't here? Etc. Why won't I be there? If I were here, would I also have a piece of this ice cream? No, no, no. What the hell was I thinking? Why do we three artists have to divide a piece of ice cream worth 4.5 yuan? Oh my! Shang Zuoyan. Am I really that unable to afford a piece of ice cream? Compared with Shang Zuoyan's head full of questions, Pei Jingshu's eyes looked at Gu Huiyan after being slightly stunned, but there was a touch of emotion in her eyes. It's more like he's protecting himself. The three of them were chattering like this. What are you talking about? The actor Su Yuntang intervened at the right time. He looked at Pei Jingshu strangely. He had the impression that this little girl should be a good singer and quite popular. Once when we attended an event together, her face was shown on the big screen, and the fans in the audience were so shouting that they couldn't stand it. She is indeed very good looking, not inferior to Seren. Compared to Gu Huiyan, an amateur artist whom he didn't know, he was more curious about how Pei Jingshu could eat ice cream. A young female artist who relies on her looks to eat ice cream? Aren't you afraid of getting fat? The ones given to her by others are not good either. Even Xylin's big Kazilan eyes looked at these three people strangely and funny. She didn't think it was strange to eat ice cream, but she just thought why these three people wanted to share a piece of ice cream. Can't one person take one piece? Three artists were arguing over a piece of ice cream. Those who didn't know better thought they were all poor and couldn't make any money. You don't know, let me tell you. Shang Xuan looked like a sad drama queen and recounted what had just happened, especially Gu Huiyan's down-to-earth behavior. She also strongly condemns the fact that Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu secretly shared the ice cream behind her back. She especially condemned Pei Jingshu. She thought it must be Pei Jingshu who asked Gu Huiyan to share the ice cream with her. "Can you speak louder? Or I can buy you a speaker." Seeing how loud she shouted, Gu Huiyan scratched his head helplessly. Pook. These words successfully made Pei Jingshu laugh, but Pei Jingshu's agent sister behind the machine, looked at them with more and more suspicion. He. After hearing this, Xylin and Su Yuntang couldn't help but laugh and cry. They just laughed and didn't know what to say. Xylin couldn't help but take a second look at Gu Huiyan. She just saw that her younger brother dressed very down-to-earth, but she didn't expect that the things he did were also so down-to-earth. I have to say that compared to these people around him, Gu Huiyan left a deeper impression on Xylin. Older sisters are always easily attracted to these handsome, tender, but weird younger brothers. The mature elder sister Xylin covered her mouth with a smile and said to Shang Xuan, "Otherwise, I'll buy you some ice cream later. Whatever you want to eat, you can just bring back all the ice cream in the store. My sister is a rich woman and has lots of money." "Oh, forget it." Shang Xuan lowered her head in frustration, with two braids with various tie-dyes scattered on both sides of her cute little head. She looked very depressed. 3 people went out, and 2 of them had ice cream. Pei Jingshu finally took a bite, but she didn't get a bite. "I feel very unbalanced." "All right." Sister Xylin stepped forward to comfort her. He. Best actor Su Yuntang just smiled, shook his head and said, "You young artists are really suffering." At this age, Su Yuntang has already begun to maintain health, but he still needs to eat once in a while. After all, he doesn't eat young food now, so there is no need to care too much about his figure. It is said that artists of their era have always seemed not to care so much about body control and self-discipline. Why are the so-called idols and top celebrities of this era all so cruel to themselves? As he said, he was really suffering. "What do you do to make so much money?" They chatted with laughter. Xylin and Su Yuntang comforted Shang Xuan, and Pei Jingshu also followed with an apologetic look on her face, but unfortunately Shang Xuan did not accept it. And what about Gu Huiyan? Standing around was really boring, and he had no interest in comforting Shang Xuan, so he simply returned to the recliner not far away where he had been sitting, and grabbed a handful of melon seeds from the table on one side. Kaka started knocking again. Then the camera is still on Shang Xuan's side, and everyone is comforting Shang Xuan. But when the familiar sound of cracking melon seeds sounded, puff, many viewers almost had their defenses broken. "Brother, are you bound to a negative emotion system? Is it good for you to mess with our mentality? The sound of eating melon seeds makes me really sick. When I hear it, I want to curse. You kid, if you take any more, I'll give you a hum." Everyone's mentality was shattered. The mother went out for a long time and didn't hear the sound of eating melon seeds. Everyone forgot about it. They thought they wouldn't hear the sound of eating melon seeds when they came back. Who knew that this sound would suddenly come out? Caught people off guard. And I don't know why. As soon as the sound of eating melon seeds sounded, no matter where everyone looked at that time, they would immediately think of Gu Huiyan. Then everyone couldn't help but turn their heads and look at Gu Huiyan. As soon as this BGM sounds, no matter who is present, even if there is Queen Siren, best actor Su Yuntang, Gu Huiyan will become the protagonist immediately. It's like he is invincible in this BGM. To be honest, Gu Huiyan is not the first man to have his own BGM. But other people's exclusive BGM is something like "Snowflakes are falling and the north wind is blowing." At least it can be regarded as a song. How can anyone be like him and use the sound of cracking melon seeds as his exclusive BGM? but he is still so demonic and superior. One word, absolutely. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 15. Gu Huiyan looked very innocent, with a fair and harmless appearance. But he was very polite. In front of the two seniors Xylin and Su Yuntang, he did not lie down on the deck chair as before, but leaned against a nearby tree. Smoking melon seeds, he just watched them comfort Shang Xuoyan. That look. Inexplicably, it's a bit like eating melon and watching a play. At that time, the small courtyard suddenly became quiet. Several top celebrities looked at Gu Huiyan. At that time, Gu Huiyan asked with a strange look. "What are you looking at me for? You go on, leave me alone, I'll just eat it." Us. Xylin, Su Yuntang, Shang Xuoyan, and Pei Jingshu looked at each other. For a moment, I didn't know how to answer. They want to say, "We are comforting/being comforted here, and you are eating melon seeds and watching a show over there, shouldn't we be watching you? How on earth did you ask us?" This moment. Several top artists have so many things they don't know how to express their displeasure in their hearts. Shang Xuoyan and Pei Jingshu were better off, but Xylin and Su Yuntang looked at Gu Huiyan in a strange way. At once. It's hard for you to imagine how a handsome young man could wear flip-flops and big pants, leaning against a tree and looking at them with a show face while eating melon seeds. Pook. After a while, Xylin actually smiled. The mature and elegant mature sister Xylin opened her red lips lightly and asked Gu Huiyan. "Is it delicious? What does it taste like?" "Original." Gu Huiyan politely handed over a handful and asked. "Want to knock?" The cold fair-skinned beauty Pei Jingshu on the side couldn't help but smile. She said that this scene is familiar to me. Okay. What is worth mentioning is that Xylin actually swayed her plump figure wrapped in her stepmother's skirt and walked slowly over, stretched out her jade hand and took a small handful of melon seeds from Gu Huiyan's hand. "Kaka." He started taking it slowly. Shang Xuoyan. Pei Jingshu. Su Yuntang. They thought Gu Huiyan was weird enough, why did Xylin join in? By the way, Xylin said before that she rarely consciously controls her body shape. Many artists in the industry thought she was telling lies in front of the camera to build up her personality. This kind of thing is not uncommon in the entertainment industry. But now it seems that is not the case. It is worth mentioning that Su Yuntang's originally soft eyes became slightly sharper when he saw Xylin receiving the melon seeds handed over by Gu Huiyan. After a brief interlude, Xylin and Su Yuntang went to pack their luggage. After everyone assigned their rooms, they returned to the center of the courtyard. During this period, Su Yuntang asked the program team if all the guests were present. It would be great if there were 3 women and 2 men. The wolf could be full with less meat and more meat, and he would be less competitive. However, the program team told him that there was another one. As for who it was, the program team said that they could not spoil it. They only said that the more popular one had a lot of work and was busy with the show today and would probably not be able to come over until evening. Although he didn't ask who it was, Su Yuntang knew in his heart that it was probably a top male. To put it this way, the cast lineup of this show is really luxurious, and it would be no big deal to call it Galactic Battleship. This is Gu Huiyan. Su Yuntang didn't remember hearing about this guy before. Although he was quite handsome, he seemed to be an amateur. So Su Yuntang wanted to find out whether Gu Huiyan was real or not. When everyone returned to the center of the crystal courtyard, Su Yuntang made a suggestion and asked. "Shall we formally introduce ourselves?" Puff. These words made everyone laugh, just like what Gu Huiyan said to Pei Jingshu at the beginning. If they, the top people, still need to introduce themselves, then their years of living together have been in vain. However, Gu Huiyan smelled something different, threw away the melon seeds in his hand, patted the crumbs and said consciously. Why don't you just ask me to introduce myself? He. Su Yuntang smiled and said nothing. Xylan sat with Pei Jingshu and Shang Zuoyan and said nothing. Everyone was probably curious about Gu Huiyan's identity. Gu Huiyan didn't hide anything. He said frankly that he was a young talent trained by a certain entertainment agency. This was his first show and he was an amateur. But after hearing that he was an amateur, everyone's brows were knitted together, obviously not believing it. Can you please stop joking with me? You are really an amateur. Shang Zuoyan, who had a doll-like face, pouted and said in disbelief. She has never seen an amateur act so naturally when hanging out with top guys like them. Gu Huiyan spread his hands to express that I am really an amateur, believe it or not. Natural and unnatural. To be honest, it wasn't natural for Gu Huiyan. The main reason was that Gu Huiyan no longer had any plans to have a good reputation on this show or even hold hands with female guests. If that's the case, why are you so serious about it? It's easy to show off. And since Gu Huiyan didn't even bother to explain, everyone didn't even believe that he was an amateur. Even many viewers had heated discussions, asking whether this boy could be the eldest son of another old man's family, right? While everyone was brainstorming crazily. Pa bang! Xylan, a mature sister wearing a stepmother's skirt, suddenly raised her beautiful hands and applauded gently, then coughed lightly and said proactively. Then let me introduce myself. My name is Xylan, a Uyghur, and my full name is Xylan Laili Nusriti. I am an actor. I hope everyone can take care of me while we live together. Although she is a very well-known female star in the industry, her popularity far exceed that of Shang Zuoyan and Pei Jingshu, but Xylan has no airs about her and is quite gentle to everyone. A pretty face full of exotic charm is full of calmness and confidence. The figure wrapped in the stepmother's skirt is very well proportioned and perfect. The cuffs of the coat are slightly rolled up, revealing the slender white wrists. Xylan's whole person looks neat and awkward. Lost charm. I have to say that she has a good personality and is very considerate. Just now, Su Yuntang held a self-introduction session to check on Gu Huiyan. Everyone watched Gu Huiyan introduce himself without any introduction, just like a mentor watching a contestant. It makes people feel that the status is unfair. Xylan's proactive introduction made her and Gu Huiyan's status equal, which was a very high EQ approach. It is worth mentioning that when Xylan took the initiative to introduce herself, Su Yuntang's brows wrinkled inadvertently. What makes Su Yuntang unhappy the most is, after introducing herself, Xylan actually said, although I will live with you all for a period of time in the future, I would like to ask our male guests not to use me as a hunting target. I am here to relax. She pursed her lips and smiled, speaking quite naturally. At that time, the audience who watched the show had a small climax for a while. To be honest, they came to watch the love show just to watch love, and celebrity love is more interesting. But Xylan came up and gave a queen's speech, which shocked everyone. Thinking about it, how could a goddess like Xylan come to the variety show for the sake of love? Even if she can be invited to the show crew, she has to do as she wishes. People may come to this show to relax. It's just that her words were somewhat aimed at male guests, or even men. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 16. The little fairy man in the comment area started jumping up and down, saying that Xylan looked down on male guests and looked down on men, and so on. If you don't come here to fall in love or sprinkle sugar, what the hell are you here to do? As a male guest, Gu Huiyan was fine. Before he came to the show, he had no idea about the female guests. After he came, he saw that everyone was top-notch, and he didn't even think about toads eating swan meat. On the contrary, the actor Su Yuntang had a strange expression after hearing this. After all, he is the actor. Su Yuntang, who has very strict control over his expressions, quickly controlled his facial features. He smiled slightly and raised his hand. Pa bang. Applauding siren. Thanks. The mature sister nodded lightly and immediately sat down. Su Yuntang thought for a while and simply introduced himself, otherwise it would be boring to have people say that he was pretending to be an actor and act like a big name in front of the camera. When Shang Zuoyan and Pei Jingshu saw that Sister Xilin and Cousin Yun had introduced themselves, they naturally followed them and briefly introduced themselves. At this point, except for the last male guest who did not show up, all the guests in the crystal cabin have gathered. As the sun sets, the white clouds in the distant sky are gradually rendered orange-red. After chatting for a long time, nothing could be said from Gu Huiyan's mouth. Seeing that it was getting late, Su Yuntang suggested, "I ask someone to bring some steaks over. I will cook tonight and fry the steaks for you myself." "Okay, okay." Shang Zuoyan was very happy, her doll-like eyes shining brightly. At first glance, she looks like the kind of girl who loves to eat and is very greedy. On the contrary, it was Pei Jingshu. She didn't seem to be very interested in meat, so she just smiled. Not to mention Xilin, she even went to Gu Huiyan to ask for melon seeds to eat. Actor Su's face trembled when he saw this, but he didn't say anything. A few moments. Su Yuntang's two assistants carried a small foam box in and carried it to the kitchen. Su Yuntang took off his coat, leaving only a striped shirt inside, and found an apron from the kitchen to hang on. While looking for kitchen utensils to familiarize himself with the environment, he skillfully opened the steak with scissors. At that moment, the masculine temperament of the mature and elegant actor Su Yuntang seemed to come through the screen. Even some male viewers couldn't help but be impressed by the actor Su's temperament at this moment. "This one is indeed my favorite." Even Shang Zuoyan couldn't help but show an appreciative expression. Girls these days seem to like the kind of mature and elegant uncles who feel very reliable and safe. Pei Jingshu was not very interested in this uncle. She sat behind Gu Huiyan and looked at Gu Huiyan and Xilin with some resentment in her eyes. "Oh yes, I forgot to mention that Xilin is a very talkative woman." After Su Yuntang went to the kitchen, she happened to sit next to Gu Huiyan. She asked Gu Huiyan for some melon seeds and discussed with him the types and flavors of melon seeds she liked. Gu Huiyan said that, "I have tasted spiced, creamy, and caramel flavors, but in the end I still fell in love with the original flavor." Xilin covered her mouth and smiled and said, "Have you ever eaten green tea flavor?" Gu Huiyan was surprised and asked why it smelled like green tea. Xilin said that there are not only green tea flavors, but also garlic flavor, barbecue cumin flavor, milk tea flavor, cheese vine pepper flavor, curry flavor, and spicy crayfish flavor. It successfully broadened Gu Huiyan's horizons about the word melon seeds. And Pei Jingshu, who originally had a crush on Gu Huiyan because of the ice cream thing in the afternoon, saw this boy suddenly chatting with Sister Xilin and left herself alone, and for a moment she felt a little irritable for no reason. That feeling was hard to explain. It was really Pei Jingshu's first time trying it. After all, no boy had ever left her alone in the past and would lick her face and come up to her. It is worth mentioning that Su Yuntang, who was frying steak in the kitchen, caught a glimpse of the scene from a distance, and his expression became gloomy. Because he was so focused on it, his hand almost touched the edge of the pot and got burned. Somehow funny. But I have to say, there is still something fishy about his steak. Excellent a 5-wagyu beef, with snowflake-like texture and even fatness and leanness, cut into equally thick steak slices, place them in a pan moistened with butter, and slowly fry them over medium heat to a satisfactory degree of doneness. Rosemary has been added during this process, and ground coarse salt has also been sprinkled. Wagyu beef that can be eaten raw does not require many ingredients at all. The appearance of the fried steak has won praises from many viewers. Hey, isn't this steak expensive? At that time, the barrage was showing. Yes, I used to work in a Western restaurant, and a piece of snowflake and beef like this costs more than 1,000 yuan. Jow, this is such a money grab. A piece of steak costs more than 1,000 yuan. This kind of beef is relatively rare. The content of saturated fatty acids in muscle fat is very low and the nutritional value is extremely high. It is recognized as the best quality beef cattle in the world today. It is normal for it to be expensive. I've never eaten steak in my entire life. I'm really presumptuous. Haha, I haven't eaten it either. Many people have never even eaten steak, and many people in third and fourth tier cities may have never even entered a Western restaurant. It's normal to have never eaten steak. I have never eaten ordinary steak, let alone this kind of high-end Wagyu beef. So looking at the scene now, many people feel a little out of reach, and even more envious. It has to be said that actor Su is very efficient at work. 5 steaks were cooked in just over half an hour. On the long table in the restaurant, 5 guests, 3 women and 2 men, each had a steak in front of them that looked very good and fragrant. There are also some carefully prepared side dishes in the middle, which just look appetizing. Since drinking was not allowed during the recording of the show, Su Yuntang also prepared juice for everyone. Su Yuntang is really very detailed in his work. Before cooking the steak, he asked everyone how cooked they wanted it to be, and everyone's steak was fried according to their requirements. It is worth mentioning that when he asked Gu Huiyan at that time, Gu Huiyan said, "Can it be cooked well?" Made a lot of people laugh. At that time, many netizens said, "As expected of you, Gu Huiyan. I'd be surprised if someone else wants to eat it well done. I'm really not surprised if you want to eat it well done. To be honest, this fine Wagyu beef can actually be eaten raw. Eating it raw is the best way to retain its original flavor. The more cooked it is, the more flavor it loses." Su Yuntang also smiled and explained to Gu Huiyan that you don't understand. It is best to eat a 5 Wagyu beef to a certain degree of cooked. Unfortunately, Gu Huiyan waved his hand and said with a smile, "I don't like eating raw things." Su Yuntang was so stunned that he didn't know what to say and was speechless. Gu Huiyan's move had something to do with the system, but it had little to do with it. He doesn't like to eat raw food. No matter how high-end the ingredients you mentioned are, if you ask me to eat unfamiliar food, I really can't do it. In the past, people ate raw food because they did not know how to use fire. Raw food contained various bacteria, which could easily breed various diseases in the body. One of the great advances of mankind in the century is that it has learned to use fire to sterilize and kill poisons at high temperatures. After making the food, you can eat it with confidence. And today, after so many years of human beings learning to use fire, you are telling me that only by eating it raw can you get the most authentic taste and the delicious aroma of the ingredients? You are so kidding me. Why are you going back as you evolve? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 17. My mother has taught me since I was a child not to eat unfamiliar food, as it will ruin my stomach. But when I grow up, you tell me that what my mother says is wrong. What you say is right. I believe you. The bad old man is very bad. So it's probably a matter of perception. Gu Huiyan is not used to eating raw food. Before, when he went out to eat steak with friends, he always wanted it to be well done. No one said it was always well done. And he almost never eats those sashimi for fear of getting parasites in his stomach. Having said that, this down-to-earth system really found the right person in Gu Huiyan. This guy is quite real in his daily life. Now he is just a little more normal in front of the camera. Shang Zuoyan couldn't wait to cut off a small piece of steak skillfully with a knife and fork, stuffed it into Cherry's little mouth, chewed it gently, nodded with satisfaction, and praised. "It is indeed my girl's favorite beef. Shang Zuoyan usually likes to eat this a 5-way jia beef. After all, this beef has a relatively high fat content and tastes very delicious. In daily life, Shang Zuoyan has no chance to eat anything with a little bit of fat. The meat without any fat is really tough. Shang Zuoyan is about to vomit after eating the tough steak and chicken breast all day long. Pei Jingshu looked very elegant as she ate the medium rare steak. Xylin was not in a hurry to use the knife and fork, she didn't seem too hungry. Hee hee. Su Yuntang smiled and said. "This is a Weijia beef raised by my friend on a farm." "What's the breed?" He originally wanted to say that the Weijia breed on his friend's farm may not be authentic, but the meat quality has actually been improved after breeding. "By the way, how big is my friend's farm? The last time I went there, he even treated me to a banquet and had fun for a few days. If I have the chance, I can take everyone to play like this." But the words were only half spoken. That. Gu Huiyan, who was sitting on the side, suddenly interrupted. When everyone turned around and looked over, they found that Gu Huiyan put down the knife and fork in his hand and asked Su Yuntang with a smile. "Do you have chopsticks?" "Ah. Then." Su Yuntang was stunned. He had forgotten to worry about Gu Huiyan interrupting his speech, and instead looked at Gu Huiyan in confusion, not knowing how to answer him for a while. "He wants chopsticks. What the hell? Who the hell eats steak with chopsticks? Why the hell do you still need to use chopsticks when you eat this Weijia beef that costs more than 1,000 pieces and it's cooked perfectly? Are you really kidding me?" Puff. On the table, Xylin, Pei Jingshu and Shang Zuoyan couldn't hold back their laughter. The table was filled with the crisp sound of knives and forks being placed on plates. Shang Zuoyan had just finished a mouthful of beef and was drinking juice when a mouthful spurted out. She quickly wiped the juice splashed on her chest with a paper towel and asked dumbfounded. "You don't want to eat steak with chopsticks?" The problem is that Gu Huiyan actually nodded and said. "I'm used to using chopsticks, but I'm really not used to using knives and forks." "You really?" Shang Zuoyan couldn't laugh or cry at the time, thinking to herself, "Brother, why are you so down to earth?" Even the audience watching the show next door couldn't help but laugh, and the barrage slowly passed by. "What I'm saying is, brother, why don't you use your hands and stop talking, okay? It looked so elegant, but I imagined that I was eating it on the spot. Why did you bring it back to reality with just one sentence? Eat Weijia beef well done, and use chopsticks to eat steak. My name is Gu Huiyan, please remember." "Haha, actually, I think it's okay. I don't like to use a knife and fork when eating steak. At home, I cut it with a knife and eat it with chopsticks. In fact, many people are not used to using knives and forks in daily life. After all, this thing is not the traditional tableware of our country. Since ancient times, our vast land of China has always used 2 chopsticks to sandwich the sky and the earth, and it has never been submissive to anyone. The knife and fork culture introduced from the West is rare, but it does not mean that it is advanced, and no one stipulates that you must use a knife and fork to eat steak. I just can't handle a knife and fork, I just want to use chopsticks. What's wrong? No. Any questions? Do you really look down on chopsticks or something? If you have the ability, speak up and see if this generation of netizens will teach you how to behave. To be honest, many people are not used to using knives and forks and want to use chopsticks when eating steak, but they are embarrassed to say it. Gu Huiyan was just saying it at the moment. So even though many people on the barrage complained about Gu Huiyan, they really didn't have much malice. They just felt that this kid ruined such a high-class atmosphere. Kikik. The mature sister Xylan was made to giggle by Gu Huiyan. She put down the knife and fork in her hand, gently flipped her hair and said, "You are really interesting." After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, Xylan has seen countless pretentious artists who pretend to be noble. But this is really the first time I have seen an artist as down-to-earth as Gu Huiyan. The key is that he has a pretty face, and he is so confident when he speaks and does things, and he doesn't feel there is anything wrong with what he does. At this time, the cold fair-skinned beauty Pei Jingshu smiled sweetly. "Actually, I've always felt that I'm not used to using knives and forks. Otherwise, I'll use chopsticks with you." When she said this, her manager's sister Pei Yu's face darkened behind the camera. "Is there any?" Gu Huiyan asked. "Yes, I've seen it before. I'll go get it." Pei Jingshu slowly stood up and actually went to get the chopsticks to use. "How about you help me get a pair?" Maybe because she really found it interesting, Xylan also joined in. "No, you." Looking at the three guests who all changed their chopsticks because of Gu Huiyan's words, the corners of Shang Zuoyan's beautiful mouth kept twitching, and she was thinking. Obviously just now, the scene of everyone eating steak with knives and forks was so harmonious. Why did the painting style deviate like this just because of Gu Huiyan's words? And when she thought about the scene of the three of them eating steak together with chopsticks later, Shang Zuoyan felt that her filter was broken. Not just her. The actor Su Yuntang, who had just planned to talk about his friend's overseas farm, was confused for a moment and didn't know what to say when he opened his mouth. Honestly, the reason why he asked his assistant to bring these steaks today was actually to create a high-end, grand, and upscale dinner atmosphere. He personally prepared a dinner, and everyone gathered together for the first time to have a quiet and elegant dinner with themselves as the center. Just thinking about the scene makes people's hearts move. At that time, he can also express his mature masculine charm, emphasize how wide his circle of friends and connections are, and make himself a saint in front of others. But who knows? Gu Huiyan's two direct sentences shattered all the atmosphere he had carefully created for him. When asked how rare he wanted the steak to be, he just said, "Can it be cooked well? But now you have to use chopsticks to eat steak." Su Yuntang has really never seen such an artist before. He even wants to ask you, did you just come out of the village? Why is the village so angry? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 18. As an actor, Su Yuntang's image in front of the camera has always been very elegant. A mature, charming, very calm, and reliable refined middle-aged man. This is not only the persona designed by the company to attract fans, but he is also like this in private. When facing fans and friends around him, he always feels like spring breeze. And because of his achievements in the industry, everyone respects him. Basically wherever he is the absolute focus. Maybe it's because he usually does too much as the focus, but before coming today, Su Yuntang also designed it based on the fact that he was the focus. Although there was an unexpected Gu Huiyan, Su Yuntang never thought at the beginning that he had the ability to compete with him for the focus. But the fact is, with just one or two words, Gu Huiyan completely destroyed the situation he had worked so hard to build with himself as the center. He is using a very new way of attracting attention. Look. Not only the guests present, but also some staff members seem to be looking at Gu Huiyan with both laughter and tears. This little fresh meat is full of all kinds of contrasts. Wearing big pants and flip-flops, eating melon seeds, and eating ice cream are surprising enough. But when he ate the steak, he ate it well done and had to use chopsticks. You can never imagine what kind of work this little fresh meat will do for you next. The crux of the matter is that these tasks are not something he is willing to do. They are all sent to him by others. Creak. Looking at Xylan, who took a pair of chopsticks from Pei Jingshu and skillfully used the chopsticks to pick up the steak and ate it naturally, Yuntang's back molars almost broke. Frankly speaking, Yuntang came to this show actually just for Xylin. He has liked Xylin for many years. Many people in the industry know this, and even some fans of both parties often use them to criticize each other. But it seems that Xylin is not too interested in him. To be precise, Xylin seems to be not too interested in any man. She is just like her image on the red carpet, a queen. How could the queen allow herself to crawl under a man? So for so many years, even though Yuntang expressed his feelings many times, Xylin just declined with a smile. To be honest, this time, if the program team hadn't told him that Xylin was also coming, an artist of his stature, such as the best actor Yuntang, wouldn't have sacrificed himself by coming to a show like this. He originally thought that he would try his best to build a relationship with Xylin during this trip and plan a romantic confession ceremony at the end of the show. This show could completely become a record book of their love. By then, maybe the entire network will bless them. But who would have known that Yuntang would receive a critical blow because of Gu Huiyan? A bad start. He actually had a good idea tonight. He wanted to use dinner to improve his style, and try to take care of Siren as much as possible. At the end of the recording in the evening, he was considerate and found a bottle of good red wine to get close to Xylin. The two drank under the moonlight with luminous cups of grape wine. Just perfect. But because of Gu Huiyan, no one is looking at him now, and no one is paying attention to his so-called style at all. Xylin actually wants to use chopsticks with Gu Huiyan. It is the expression management of the best actor Yuntang, which seems to be unable to stop the car. Well, this is still more comfortable to use. Gu Huiyan took the chopsticks from Pei Jingshu's hand, naturally picked up a piece of broccoli and stuffed it into his mouth. While chewing, he looked at Yuntang apologetically, and said a little embarrassedly, Brother Su, you won't be unhappy if I do this, right? Gu Huiyan thinks that he is a person with high emotional intelligence. He is just not used to using knives and forks, and he will never force others to use knives and forks with him. Others think that knives and forks should be used with steak, but he feels that chopsticks are comfortable to use. There is nothing superior about this in itself, it is just a matter of personal preference and choice. If this affected others, Gu Huiyan would still apologize deeply. No. No way. To be honest, Yuntang Xianza didn't know how many grass mud horses galloped past in his heart. MDT smells like tea. Who are you so disgusting with? After all, this was in front of the camera, so Yuntang still tried his best to smile. What's more, Xylin also used chopsticks with him. If he targeted Gu Huiyan, wouldn't he also target Xylin? And that cool fair-skinned beauty with a delicate face, Pei Jingshu. Speaking of Pei Jingshu, Yuntang couldn't help but want to complain. This woman didn't know what was going on. As soon as Gu Huiyan called her, she became adamant and immediately took the chopsticks when asked. Yuntang still remembered that before the show started, Pei Jingshu's manager came to say hello to him and asked him to take more care of her on the show. She thought that since the manager was so sensible, the artist would be good too. But why is she following Gu Huiyan and causing such mischief? A celebrity, what kind of chopsticks are you using after him? Call. Yuntang had to admit that today was a dark day for him. And what about Gu Huiyan on the other side? After hearing that Yuntang said he wouldn't mind, Gu Huiyan was relieved, but he was really a little afraid that the actor would make things difficult for him because of his arrogance. During his amateur days, Gu Huiyan didn't want to offend anyone. What he did just now was partly due to his personal habits, but also partly due to the system. It has to be said that the success of Gu Huiyan's actions just now has caused a surge in various indicators. The indicator of singing skill has improved by leaps and bounds, and has now increased to LV2. It is worth mentioning that after breaking through to LV2, the experience value of singing skills will suddenly not increase with Gu Huiyan's down-to-earth attitude. Gu Huiyan learned a little about it, and then discovered that when the singing skills, acting skills and other indicators increased to LV2 through his basic grounding, they seemed to stop growing. After being grounded again and gaining exposure, the system will prompt you to add points. When they are added together, Gu Huiyan can specify how many talent points he will add at once and where. After realizing this, Gu Huiyan was quite happy. He had always felt that the system's method of averaging all indicators together was a bit useless. To be honest, it was better to highlight a certain aspect. For example, Gu Huiyan, he once felt that he might not be able to take the role for the time being, and he would have nowhere to show off his acting skills. It would be better to increase his singing skills and show off his skills even if he showed them a little bit. It's quite worth it. After discovering that several of his indicators had reached LV2, Gu Huiyan was filled with joy and felt that his efforts tonight had paid off. It's just that Gu Huiyan once felt that this was a bit like licking the blood of the grave and dancing around, and he would offend people if he wasn't careful. But seeing the increase in various indicators, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but feel a little itchy. Holding chopsticks in his hand and looking at the small piece of steak in front of him, Gu Huiyan, who didn't know how to start his mouth, thought for a while and decided to just stop cooking. I've already gathered all the wool, so it's better to do it all at once. Then, Gu Huiyan held the chopsticks in his right hand, picked up the evenly fat and thin piece of Wagyu beef, and stuffed the whole piece into his mouth. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 19. At this time, Su Yuntang had almost sorted out his emotions and expressions. He hates Gu Huiyan in his heart, but he doesn't show it. Without him in the circle, the city would have been in vain for so many years. He secretly took a deep breath and sorted out his emotions and appearance. Su Yuntang pursed his lips and smiled, picked up the wine glass, gently shook the juice inside, and said, "Come, let us all." He originally wanted to say, "Let us all drink to our gathering tonight." This brings the topic and camera back to myself again. Shang Zuoyan next to her was more sensible, with a slender jade hand already placed on the cup. Who would have expected it at this moment? That. Gu Huiyan's voice suddenly sounded again. At that time, even the director had already cut the camera to Su Yuntang. Who knew that Gu Huiyan suddenly opened his mouth and once again drew everyone's attention, even the camera had to be given to him. What's wrong with you? This time even Su Yuntang couldn't help but look at him angrily. Interrupting someone else's speech is a rude thing. Even if your parents didn't teach you that, didn't anyone in your company teach you that either? It didn't matter that he was interrupted last time, but he was interrupted again this time. Su Yuntang really couldn't bear it. Not only him, but everyone also looked at Gu Huiyan. The mature sister Xilan's big eyes were full of interest, as if she was wondering what kind of tricks this little brother was going to do this time. Pei Jingshu also gently put down her chopsticks. The cold fair-skinned beauty sat next to Gu Huiyan. The light in the center of the courtyard shone through the edge of the table on her white, tender, and slender legs, which was touching. On the other hand, the doll-like Shang Zuoyan looked at Gu Huiyan with a small mouth and a resentful look, and wanted to say, "Can't you let cousin Yun finish what he said first? The barrages next door were all scolding you like crazy. They were all talking about Gu Huiyan, could you please stop opening your mouth?" Even the program producer Zhang Dan looked at Gu Huiyan with a suppressed smile. She never expected that at a table where the top people gathered, Gu Huiyan could become the protagonist. When everyone's eyes and cameras focused on Gu Huiyan again, Gu Huiyan scratched his head and asked Su Yuntang with a silly smile, "Brother, I've finished my steak. Do you have any more? At that time, the screen was full of question marks. The camera showed the empty plate in front of him, and the barrage exploded. Everyone only ate a few small pieces. Why did you finish it first? Why do you have such a big appetite? I just saw a glimpse of you. Why didn't you taste such expensive beef slowly and you actually swallowed it in one gulp asterisk backslash U0026 amp, 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 percent UN hashtag at? Haha, let's just say that such a small piece of steak is really not very edible, okay. A girl like me can eat it in one bite. Someone just caught a glimpse through the corner of the camera of Gu Huiyan picking up a steak with chopsticks and swallowing it in one bite. The director was so embarrassed that he even temporarily played back the scene. At that time, everyone was really dumbfounded again. Gu Huiyan ate the steak that cost thousands of dollars a piece and it was fully cooked. He just used chopsticks. After taking the chopsticks, he actually showed off with one bite. This makes people don't know what to say about him. You prodigal son, you kid. Why don't you taste such an expensive steak slowly? Did you know that many people in the comment section might be able to hold it in their mouths until it melts if they eat it? The guests at the scene were also full of questions. Pook. Pei Jingshu was sitting next to Gu Huiyan. The cold fair-skinned beauty had just witnessed with her own eyes the scene of Gu Huiyan showing off the piece of a 5-way beef in one mouthful. She even watched Gu Huiyan chewing with her cheeks bulging. To be honest, before this, she couldn't imagine how a little fresh meat could pick up a piece of steak with chopsticks and eat it all in one bite. This picture, no matter where it is full of contradiction. She has really never met such a person before. It's so strange, such a contrast, and so funny. Because it was a program recording site, lights were placed everywhere in the center of the crystal courtyard, and the courtyard was brightly lit. Pure white light fell on Pei Jingshu's body. She was wearing a simple and elegant blue dress, and her snow-white shoulders and collarbones were particularly conspicuous. The 4 words white and shining seemed to be used to describe Pei Jingshu. In the past, Pei Jingshu had a cold beauty personality. In daily life, whether she was recording programs or offline, she was rarely seen smiling. But in just half a day of this show, she didn't know how many times she laughed. Pei Jingshu also wants to control herself. She has really received professional training. Her sister specially trained her before creating a cold beauty persona for her for marketing. Pei Jingshu would never laugh unless she couldn't help it. But today, after receiving professional training, she has lived in Bangbu so many times. Ft. Cluck. Xylin, the exotic and charming mature sister, also laughed wildly. She has a plump figure and has the charm of a mature woman when she smiles. She had to admit that Gu Huiyan was really a talent. If you said he had eaten all his food, he would eat it all. If an ordinary little artist ate all his food at a group of top-notch tables, his subconscious reaction would definitely not dare to eat it again. Asking for a second portion. This is not a matter of the artist's appetite, but more of an embarrassment. After all, this is recording a program in front of the camera, so you have to care about your image. But Gu Huiyan asked Su Yuntang in public if he still had any more, as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know that he had finished one steak in one bite and it wasn't enough. It makes people laugh and cry. Gu Huiyan. However, the beautiful doll girl Shang Zuoyan couldn't bear it anymore. She clenched her silver teeth and slapped the table, stood up, stared at Gu Huiyan with a resentful look and said, "You've ruined all the good atmosphere. Can you stop talking?" Su Yuntang actually wanted to have an attack, but once Shang Zuoyan had an attack, he had no part in it. Looking back, I thought that I was lucky that I didn't have an attack. Was it ridiculous that Siren was laughing at him but getting angry? Not to mention in front of the camera. Ha ha ha. Many staff at the scene were also laughing. Some people even say that Gu Huiyan is allergic to romance. Why is it that every time he wants to be romantic, he immediately breaks all the filters with one sentence? Then I can't say whether I've eaten or not. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and said helplessly. This steak is really not a big portion. I finished it in one bite. Gu Huiyan did not deny that he had intentional factors for system points, but he also did seek truth from facts. In fact, the steaks outside are a bit better, whether it is sirloin or fillet, the beef is thin after all, there is not much oil, and it will not shrink much when fried. But this is different from beef. This beef is fatter and has a lot of grease. Even though Su Yuntang was very big when he took it out of the foam box, it is small and thin when it is fried. Everyone eats slowly and in small bites just to taste it and to maintain the same style. If Gu Huiyan didn't care about tasting it, he would have eaten it in just one bite. Before he ate it with chopsticks just now, he even thought about folding it and eating it like pancakes. Would it make it thicker and meatier? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 20. You. Shang Zuoyan originally wanted to criticize him a few words, but Gu Huiyan's words made her don't know how to refute. Indeed, the portion of steak is indeed not large. But the steak itself is not something you should just devour. This is not a big chicken drumstick, nor is it a big stick bone, nor is it the Apan noodles. It is food that needs to be eaten slowly. You use this thing to show off your. Is this okay? Ha ha ha. The barrage also laughed like crazy, and many viewers who watched the show said that Gu Huiyan, you are so down to earth. Although there is no denying that what Gu Huiyan did was somewhat tasteless, he was indeed quite real. Many passers-by did not know whether to laugh or cry at him, but they thought this young man had a good personality. The A5 Wagyu beef has been bragging in the comment area since just now, saying how much it costs per piece, how expensive and high-end it is. At first glance, it looks like food that is beyond the reach of ordinary people. Probably everyone's first thought is that they must be reluctant to eat such food, and they must taste it slowly. These celebrities are really stylish. But to be honest, when everyone looks at that small piece of beef, they can't help but wonder, is this thing really worth so much money? So how delicious a small slice can be and worth so much money? Besides, who can eat this small piece? Are these celebrities really full? Even a 4 or 5-year-old kid wouldn't be full after eating such a piece, right? And there's more. Does it take so long to eat this small piece? If I eat it, it won't be enough to show off my taste. And when Gu Huiyan really dazzled the A5 Wagyu that was so hyped in the comment section with just one breath, everyone would think that this guy is my replacement. The feeling of closeness to him has increased so much. And at the same time, ding, the host successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, earning points at 91. The system began to remind Gu Huiyan in a prompt manner. Gu Huiyan, who was still a little nervous, received the system prompt, and the last trace of doubt in his heart was dispelled. To be honest, if you try to be pretentious and have a relationship with these celebrities, people may not be interested in him. There are so many people in the industry who use all kinds of means to have a relationship with them, so where can he get his turn? There's no relationship anyway, so it's better to just go my own way. Kikik. The Queen's Island, who looked charming and elegant in a stepmother's dress, burst into laughter and said, "How about you eat mine? I didn't move much." As she spoke, she actually handed Gu Huiyan her plate of steak, which she had only eaten a few bites of. At that time, many netizens were stunned and said, "Sister Xylan, how could you give the food you have eaten to a smelly man? Indirect kiss hey." Then a lot of fairy men popped up in the comment area saying, "What's wrong with us men? It's good that our little fairy men don't think you stinky girls are dirty." Hitui. Steamed shrimp heads. There is nothing good about women. It is worth mentioning that the best actor Su Yuntang could not control his expression at that time. How could Xylan give Gu Huiyan the steak she had eaten? If you want to eat, he will eat it. Cough. After forcibly controlling it, Su Yuntang hurriedly said before Gu Huiyan took Xylan's steak. There are still some in the kitchen, but they are not fried. If you don't have enough, you can fry a few pieces and eat them yourself. To be honest, Su Yuntang really wanted to hit Gu Huiyan at that time. He boasted so much about this steak, and he didn't bring much. He originally wanted to take the opportunity to brag about it. Who knew that Gu Huiyan would dazzle with just one bite? I even asked if there were any more. Such high-style food must be high-end dishes in Western restaurants, but he felt like eating a steak with noodles for 19 yuan and 9 yuan on the roadside. Oh well. Gu Huiyan, who had just planned to take Xylan's steak, thanked Xylan after hearing this, and then actually went to the kitchen to look for steak. Call. Su Yuntang collected his emotions and admitted that he was a little out of control tonight and the situation was a little out of control, but it was not irreversible. Gu Huiyan left and went to fry steak, which was not necessarily a bad thing. Once he leaves, no one will stop him from showing off. Okay, everyone, come on. Su Yuntang picked up the wine glass, gently shook the juice inside, and said. Then let's use juice instead of wine to celebrate our gathering here and wish us. He originally wanted to say that he wished us all a happy time during the recording of the program, taking care of each other, and leaving good memories for each other. When he finished speaking, the people around him would consciously applaud him. This seemed to be the most daily thing for actor Su. But this is daily life. But every time he doesn't get what he wants. Halfway through his words, Gu Huiyan's voice suddenly came from the kitchen. That. When he heard the word that, Su Yuntang almost dropped the wine glass in his hand. Why is it that every time he wants to show off, this damn little guy has to come out and say that to interrupt him? Puff. At that time, everyone was laughing like crazy, and a message even appeared on the screen saying. What we're saying is, if Brother Su can't do it, let's stop pretending, right? No one meant it sarcastically, they just felt a little sorry for Su Yuntang. To be honest, everyone knows that Su Yuntang is pretending, but many people just like to watch him pretend, and feel that he pretends to be very tasteful and stylish. But tonight, he had been interrupted by Gu Huiyan more than once before he was about to pretend, but he ignored eating and fighting and insisted on pretending. This hurts. Look. Interrupted again. The guests around me couldn't bear it for the sake of face, and some staff members behind the camera had already found a place to laugh secretly. They are really rigorously trained, forgive them, they really didn't hold back. Again, what's the matter? The corner of Su Yuntang's mouth twitched, and he really couldn't control his expression this time. He turned to look at Gu Huiyan, and he wanted to say that if Gu Huiyan made a village scandal to disgust him this time, he would really fall out with Gu Huiyan. It doesn't work even if Xylan is here, and even if the King of Heaven comes, it will be useless. When the camera was shown to Gu Huiyan and everyone looked at Gu Huiyan just smiled and asked. I just want to ask everyone if they have enough. I think there are more. I can help you fry a few more. He seemed very kind and had a smile on his face. Those who didn't know better thought he was an amateur who was kneeling down to lick the best of you. Su Yuntang was really about to get angry just now. But when Gu Huiyan said this, he didn't know whether to get angry or not, and he was so messed up. Because Gu Huiyan did not show off the village spirit this time, but was full of good intentions inside and outside. He was afraid that they would not have enough to eat like him, so he kindly wanted to help fry a few more pieces. People say you don't hit someone with a smiling face, but Gu Huiyan didn't do any trouble, so what reason did he have to get angry? If he really got angry, it would be his fault, the actor Su. Besides, this is in front of the camera. Lens lens lens. Su Yuntang, who used to claim to enjoy the camera, swore that he had never hated the camera as much as he does today. If he hadn't been in front of the camera, if there were no guests around him, he would have sworn that he would have beaten Gu Huiyan's head to pieces. This person is so mean.